Hello everyone and welcome to another wicked gameplay episode. Today we're back in X-Plane and we're looking at the Cessna 207 from Alabeo, and I really like this aircraft actually. When I say that I mean the look of the aircraft, and if you look at it, she's kind of like a stretched limo of, if we stretched a C-172, this is kind of what she looks like. And I have to admit, that kind of stretched saloon, like a saloon car style look, I love that kind of stretched look. It's very cool, and yeah, I have to admit, I kind of like the design of this, the way they've stretched this. Let's just get through this other plane here. Yeah, so I really do like the way this has been stretched, the look of the way Cessna's done this. It has kind of a fairly long bonnet, and I believe it has quite a hefty engine in there, although I didn't look up the specifics. But I'm assuming it's something, maybe like the 206, so maybe a 540 Continental engine in there, something like that, I'm assuming, because that bonnet actually looks quite long. But you can see she's quite nice, as you might expect from the Alabeo / Coronado camp. They always do fairly nice models. This one here, I think it's a little bit more than the average aircraft. They seem like their prices are going up, but I do think that their quality inside is going up, maybe just marginally. So yeah, check out the price and see whether it's something that you're willing to pay for. But I have to admit, I'm kind of liking this plane, bar a couple of little things, which we're going to have a look at. So you can see here, she's quite well modeled. So while we're on this side, actually, let's have a look at some of the options here. And looks like my scenery is glitching. This is some scenery from the X-Plane org forums, the download section, so I'll have links to that in the description if you check that down below. We've got some options here. We've got some the window reflections, instrument reflections. I really like both of those. Static elements, so we can take the chocks and witch's hat off, and you can see the witch's hat, we're having a bit of an earthquake here. The ground is moving, the witch's hat is kind of sunk in, so that's not the aircraft, but I think that's just the airport. We can have fairings. We can have a bush version. That's kind of cool, and I don't know if you can really see it from here. Does it actually show it? The bush version gets bars in the window. You can just sort of see that bar there. I find that a little bit distracting, so we're not going to run the bush version. We can open the co-pilot's door, or the pilot door, and the co-pilot door. So they've got some sounds for that. Passenger door. I love that kind of double door, the suicide at the back, and the standard one at the front. That's kind of cool. And they added this kind of nice livery changer, so let's have a little look at that. We'll shut all the doors here, and we can get a good look at some of the liveries that you can get. So you can just sort of click this, get a different livery. You got this red one, blue, plain white, green, so light blue, and the brown one, which I had. And I really just kind of want to see what's on the front of this other one over here. That just noticed it might actually have the engine size on the front on one of these. What does it say? Just Skywagon 207. So there we have it. I'm going to go back to my brown livery. Kind of like this one. Oops. Go forward again. Okay, well, I'm going to go with this one. This is kind of a little bit different. We can see our fuel tanks and everything up there, and there we have it. That's basically what she looks like. She's quite a nice little plane. Okay, so let's close. Actually, let's get rid of the static elements. Now we get the two twin pilots on board. We're going to just turn this volume down here. Field of view is good. We have all the typical cams, so nothing really surprising there. Different cams inside now. So okay, we're going to jump in the pilot's seat, and it's kind of the same as most of the other ones, the same level of quality. It's quite good. You can do your typical sort of stuff. You can move your temperature gauge and play around. There's a few things here that are clickable, but it has kind of got a fairly default kind of sound, except for the doors opening and closing. It doesn't really line up the sounds, but that's okay. You get this kind of just clicky sound for things, which is kind of a bit weird. And that's probably, you know, what you're going to get with the Alabeo aircraft at this stage. Like all the switches have this really basic sound. That doesn't make any sound because I don't think we have any, because the power possibly, that's not going to work. That's basically the sound. So okay, let's turn on the battery. Let's sort of get this on the road. We're going to turn on the battery here. You will get the avionics coming on. Now I tried to turn this off. I couldn't turn this off. I don't see any way of turning that off, so it is going to come on. Obviously that's a bit of an issue. Normally your avionics and that would stay off while you start the aircraft. We're not going to be able to do that, so okay, we're going to turn the beacon on. I don't know if we have the landing. Oh, I'll turn the nav lights on now anyway, and put this onto both. We've got throttle. Let me just get all this set up. So we're going to put this. Actually, what we would do is, I believe, get some fuel going. Mixture full rich. Full forward on the prop. Crack the throttle a bit. And we'll fire up. So I'm going to just hit my button on my quadrant there. So that's just fired it up. Oops. There you go. That's what happens when you don't follow a checklist. So we've got the parking brake on. So if I had done my checklist, I would have found that I hadn't had that on. We've got fuel in the left tank. Let's just check. Takeoff looks fine. Open our cowl flaps. Let's check now how we're going here. So we've got fuel about half in each tank. That's going to be enough for today's trip. Oil pressure's coming up into the green. I did notice that the oil temperature never seems to move, so this doesn't seem to be simulated. And cylinder head, we'll have to check that. We'll see how that looks. Just lean off the fuel mixture there. Okay, so that's fine. We're all good. We're going to be tuning to our first VOR, which we're going to have a look at shortly. Let me just have a little look here, what we're going to do. There is no ATIS here, so we're going to assume that our altimeter setting is correct. That's fine, all looks good. Not going to use any flaps today. And essentially what we're going to be doing today is taking off from this particular airport. Let's have a little look where we are. This is Brookings, is it? Brookings Airport in South Oregon. And we're going to be taking off from here. We're going to be taking off from runway 30, which is on this side. We're going to come along here. We're going to head out, fly up, and then turn, make a right turn, and head towards our first fix. And we're going to be following the VOR south of here. So I'm going to cut to the flight plan that we're going to be following. It is going to be a VFR flight. We're going to do that, and I'll be right back when we've gone over the trip that we're actually taking, so you can understand what I'm talking about. We'll see you shortly. Okay, so this is the route that we're essentially going to be flying, well, most of it except for the approach. So we're going to start off down here at the Brookings Airport, and we're going to take off. I don't actually remember which runway that was, but it's going to be heading in the like the northerly direction here. So we'll work that out once we're on the ground, and we'll take off. We're going to be heading roughly out to 350 degrees. We're going to probably come in a bit earlier than that. But we're going to cross Rudy here at this this fix here, and we are going to tune to do this, we're going to tune to the VOR here, which is 109.0, the Crescent City VOR. And we're going to set the OBS to be from. And when we hit about 42, I think this is nautical miles, we are going to be crossing the Rudy fix here. And then we're going to continue along this airway here, V27, all the way along, and somewhere probably around here we're going to tune to the North Bend VOR, which is 112.1, and we're going to continue that. We'll switch our OBS to the heading here, which will be 36346 heading north, and continue that all the way up, cross these points here, so we'll know at 20 nautical miles DME and 16 that we're crossing Ledge and Loopsy, if that's the right way, and Overley, and etc. We're going to be moving all the way up to O-line, and we're going to start to move across this way. So around here, I'm going to set up a approach. We'll select the approach for runway 4, which is an ILS approach, and that'll sort of get us coming around doing this strange approach pattern, coming in and lining us back up to 04, and we'll do an ILS landing. Even if we could do a visual, we'll just have a bit of a play around with that with the GNS 530 and see what that looks like. So that's essentially what we're going to do, and let's get started. Okay, so now you have some idea of what we're trying to do today. Hopefully that will make it a bit easier to understand what we're actually trying to do. All I've done now is put in my destination, which is the North Bend Airport, I believe it's called, and that's where we're headed. So once we get close enough, we'll set up an approach in the GPS here, and we'll fly the approach via the GPS. Everything else we'll do by VORs. It'll be something a little bit different, and we'll head out. So you can see here I've programmed the first VOR into my navigation here is 109.0, and I've also, if we look here, it is saying we're from, which is right. It's south of where our current position. So if I flick that over, you'll see the nav flag actually comes on, so it doesn't have a signal. We'll turn that back on, and it says we're about 17.9 nautical miles away from the VOR, and we are actually from it. Now, the heading that we need to leave out of here should be 343, and you can see here I've already got that programmed, so I've got that dialed in. So we've got 343 is probably about there, maybe about there. 3, 4, yeah, that's probably about right. So that's how far off we're, just a bit to the left of it. So we'll take off, and we'll use our navigation to align back at that, roughly around when we get to the Rudy fix. Okay, so what I might also do is tune the next VOR, which will be the so we're currently tuned into the Crescent City, which is 109.0. We're going to tune the North Bend VOR, which is 102.1. So let's just get into here, and 112, I think I said 102, 112.1, and you can see we're not getting a signal on that, so we're going to leave it set to the Crescent City VOR, and then that'll take us up to the Rudy fix and get us onto the V27 airway all the way up until we get to Ovi, I think, which is the last fix on this part of the flight plan, and then we'll set up an approach using the GPS. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. Enough chatting, and we'll talk about the plane as we get going. So I'm going to turn on my pitot heat. Beacon's already on. Landing lights, strobes I'm going to leave off for now. We've got our lights here. This is our instrument lights. We probably can't see them, but there they are there. Cool. So we've got, we'll set this as a VFR trip. We've got our ADF here. We're not really going to be using the ADF. This is all good. and I'm going to set a altitude of 5,000. Now we're traveling 343, so we're traveling to the west, so we should be, I believe, odds. East is odds, west should be evens. So we'll try 5,500. So not a big fan of the way Coronado and Alabeo do the controls, the scrolling and stuff like that. I just find it a bit frustrating. But anyway, that's one of my other gripes. Okay, let's get going. Let's get the handbrake off, and we'll taxi across to the runway 30. So while we're doing that, lucky there's no one around here. Cool. While we're doing that too, we just want to set our heading to 30, which will align with the runway heading. Bit of squeak in there. So you can see the aircraft has been running for a little while now, and oil temperature, I think that has gone up a little bit. The cylinder head temperature is not budging, which is very odd. I'd imagine it'd be more higher than what that is. That doesn't look like it's working. Kind of nice squeaking sounds. Now there is no ATIS, at least, that I could tune to, so we're going to assume our altitude altimeter setting is correct. Suction, we've got our time, it's just after, almost coming up to 9:30. We've got a bit of cloud cover, so we are using real weather, but I'm using daylight, obviously, so you can see it's daytime. I've got the mixture leaned off a bit. And we're looking pretty good though. So this says we're about 300. That's just a bit bumpy. So we should be about 486. So the altimeter setting doesn't look right. My notes say 462 feet MSL. Okay, we'll just check that shortly, just to make sure we are right. Okay, so we're on the run-up line. We do our run-up now, check everything's good. We're not going to do that because it's simulation. We'll turn our landing lights on and strobes on. I think that's the right time. And let's get going. It does say landing taxi light, so maybe I should have had that on when I was taxiing. We've checked that no one else is coming. We've been cleared to take off by ATC. We're all good. Alrighty. Mixture's full rich. Prop is full forward. Temperature looks good. Gauges all look good. Everything looks good. We'll start to wind this up. Flaps are good. Seatbelts are on. We've done our flight briefing and everyone's happy. And we are gonna get going. It's actually quite a nice plane to fly. I really like flying this plane. Got a bit of frame lag. Might just check that out shortly. We'll see what's going on there. Haven't had any problems up until now. Okay, so we're making our way up here. You can see that we're still to the left of the VOR, or where we want to be. So I'm going to start making a right turn. I have these. Just this fuel pump. So 343. We want to sort of come across a bit more than that. Continue to climb. Bring her across a bit more. She's doing well. So what we might do is actually turn the autopilot on and have a little look at her in the air. Hit our nav, arm this, set her up, flight director's on, and she should start to go on her own. VOR is selected on the GPS, and I think we're pretty good to go. So let's have a little look at where we're at. Quite a nice aircraft. She's really cool. I love that stretch look. Really nice plane. I like that sort of cabling that goes across from the roof line there to the tail. It's very, very cool. The sounds are pretty good too. I'm relatively happy with those. They tend to use pretty good sounds. Coronado, Alabeo guys. Very cool. Now also when we jump in the aircraft, we can open the windows and you get that 3D sound. You can hear that engine noise changes. The doors try to open but they don't, which is nice. And yeah, she's pretty cool. Now I've got this feeling that we are not navigating correctly here. Let's just make sure we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. We've got a heading of 3-3 right now. So we're going to climb and we should stop at 5,510. We could just continue this way, but what I might do is change the heading and we'll maybe not fly that far across, but maybe just prior to north. Let's have a little look at the ADF here. There's some nice sort of things about this aircraft, so like you can click the autopilot and pop that out. That's kind of cool. Kind of feels a bit strange at the moment. Things don't seem to be working as they normally do. You can pop that in and out. The ADF itself, buttons here don't work, but you can switch these. You can tune those if you need to. The on-off button does work. Not sure that all these work, but you do have a volume button here. So the basics is good enough to get you doing what you want to do. So we're still climbing. We've got about another 1,000 feet to go. So we want to be about 5,500. That should be enough to clear the terrain. So what else we got here? We've got our another gauge here that tells us fuel consumption. That doesn't seem to work. I have a feeling that my this is not working all that well. Okay, so let's have a little look at a couple of things here. Manifold pressure is good. This is over revving the engine. We probably would have blown up in real life, so we just want to get that down to 2,500 RPM, or 23 to 2,500. So at least in the green. Manifold pressure is good. And we probably want to lean our mixture out now. We can do that. We can see our EGT gauge. Exhaust gas temperature's climbing. Okay, so I lied about these other gauges. We can see the oil pressures come up a bit more. Oil temperatures now up to this sort of first quarter, and the cylinder head temperature has definitely increased. Fuel looking pretty good. Both left and right tanks are fine. We're on the left tank at the moment, so all looking good. Comms buttons don't work. There is only one comms, the one on your GPS here. So as we maintain our heading here, just not quite, so maybe around 356 degrees, we're actually starting to cross into the airway that we're trying to capture here. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get in line with that. So we're waiting for this to come across, and then we'll know that once this is aligned with that, once this line has come all the way across, that we would have lined up with airway V27. And if we look at our distance, we're at 29.3. So that's the distance that we're away from the VOR. Let's just see if we can zoom in here a little bit. And you have these options of seeing different things on your screen. 1, 2, and 3. I wonder if we've already gone past that VOR. If we had a second ABS meter here, we would be able to see that. I just don't want to change the signal here to see that cross-reference. Just look at our map here. Let's have a little look where we are. We can see what we're tuned to here. Let's center on the aircraft, and you can see the Rudy fix is way over here. So we're tuned to the Crescent City VOR. You can see the radial that we're tuned to, going away from it, and we should pretty much be right across from that once we align. It looks like we're heading straight towards it. Okay, so I'm going to continue the flight on now, and I'll bring you back shortly when we have something to have a quick chat about. Okay, so you can see now we're still flying along towards the Rudy fix, and you can see here we're just almost lined up with it, not quite. We're about almost 40 nautical miles away. And we're very close to crossing it, so you know we're basically on track. This is exactly where we expected to be, roughly about this time, and we'll just continue on following the VOR. So what we'll see here is this bar here is coming across as we get closer and closer to the airway. We're going to basically level off with that, get straight and level with that, and fly direct along this path. We've basically intercepted this. It's got about 2 degrees to go and we'll be there. Each one of these notches, I believe, is 2 degrees. So this will line up. So we'll continue flying that. Probably around maybe another 20 nautical miles or so. We might flip the navigation over and we'll switch to the North Bend VOR, which is 112.1, and we'll fly the 346 radial to the VOR, and that'll basically take us up to our OV fix, which will be where we program the flight plan, or the approach to our destination airport, which is North Bend Airport. What I'll do now is we'll get this, turn our navigation on. We're good to go. I'll see you soon. Okay, so we're continuing flying along on our flight path. What you'll see here is we still don't have a nav flag, which is good, but I did notice that the distance has stopped tracking and we just lost that localizer. So not the localizer, I've set our heading. Turn our heading bug on, turn the heading on to make sure we maintain our course. And we'll flip over to the OTH VOR, which is the North Bend, and we can see that the 2 flag has come up, flying to it, which is correct. We should be flying a 346 radial, so we might just switch this over a little bit. So it's 3, that's probably about 346 about there. So it looks like we're just to the right of that. We don't have the distance coming up, but I've set the heading. What is that? Oops. I'll set this to 346. We're just banking a little bit now. It's heavy cloud cover here. So we wouldn't typically be flying VFR in this weather. We would be flying IFR, but for the sake of demonstration and safety of flight simulation, with no real effects of spatial disorientation, I don't really need to be worried. So we're going to keep moving forward here. Our DME, there we go, was just checked over and we're 44 nautical miles away. So we'll just keep moving forward from here, and we'll come back when we're approaching our first couple of fixes. Okay, so what we're looking for here is we're tuned to the 346 radial on the North Bend VOR, and that's essentially, we're flying this this airway here, and we're coming up to the ledge fix. This would be 20 nautical miles out, then 16 to Loopsy, what's that, 14 to Overley, and 10 to O-line. So at 20 we'll be at ledge. So if we have a look now, we've still got about 20 nautical miles away from ledge before we actually go any further. So we'll be back when we're approaching that. Okay, so we're coming up to the ledge fix. I did get a little bit off course because I forgot to take my autopilot off heading, so I'll maintain that same heading. I've now switched over to nav, so it's flying me back to the correct course. You can see here we're getting back on track. We're still a little bit over, and we're just starting to come across the ledge, which is it's supposed to be around 20 nautical miles when we're out. So it's very, very close to that. So it looks pretty accurate. We're about exactly where we should be. Then 10 will be at Loopsy. Was it 16? I think at Loopsy. Then 14 at the next point after that, and then 10. What I might do is I might cut this part of the trip a bit shorter. You can see here it's got a the pink line here showing our course to the airport. So I actually might cut this part of the trek short instead of flying these all the way over. Or let's have a look at flying the approach. So I'm going to click the procedure here. We're going to select an approach. We're going to fly the ILS 04. Let's enter that. And I'm going to fly the I believe it's this one here, EMI, which is on the approach chart. So I'm going to select that, and this is what it actually looks like. So we do this kind of strange looping. Let's activate that. We'll turn this on to CDI over to GPS, and this should now start to take us over to our approach. Zoom out a little bit and see what this looks like. So you can see here now, I'm really not sure why the approach is set up this way, but we're going to fly it as it is. What we might also start doing is descending down. There is an option to do that in the GPS to set the descent profile, but we're not going to do that today. So I might get us down to like 2,500 maybe. Add a little bit on. Okay, good. Actually, we should arm this. Okay, so we've got a bit of a slow descent. We'll come down a little bit more. Oops. What I hadn't done, it might help if I set my... I thought I'd already done this. Must have hit those by accident with these scroll wheels. Set this to altitude, so obviously that should have been done some time ago. Got a pretty good cruise speed going on here. 170 odd knots airspeed. Okay, so we're very close to the turn. You can see it's going to turn us now. It's going to turn us, it says right turn to 043 now. Right turn? We're doing a left turn. Not sure I understand what's going on there. It is what it is there. Let me just turn this volume down a little bit. What we might actually do though is, while we're here, while we're going to be following this path in here, you can see here the flight plan, what it's going to do. It's very odd. Okay, so it's going to fly us along here, it's going to take us back out. So while we're waiting on this to happen, and I just don't want to interfere with it, I just wanted to show you what it was doing. We're going to switch to, oh, it's actually already done it. It's automatically that we did the procedure, the approach. It's already switched my navigation here to the ILS, which is 108.5, which is very, very cool. So that is ready to go once we've lined up with the runway, which is very cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, we'll be back shortly. Okay, so it is finished the loop. We're on our way now, lining back up with the runway. I have tuned my heading to the approach course, which is 043 degrees The localizers basically set up in the navigation here. What I want to do though is just maybe reduce my altitude to about 1500 feet or so. So we'll bring that down, arm that, we'll come down just slowly. We're about 10 nautical miles out. Airspace near ahead, so we're looking good. So we're right on track here to get where we need to be. Okay, so I've just turned the aircraft around because I had made a mistake by not pressing the approach. So I'm going to turn the V-lock on. We'll need to hit the approach button on the autopilot. Now this is playing up here, and see if we can get this to where we want it. We're a little bit off course here, so I'm just going to get ourselves back on the glide slope. Some flaps. I want to get this down to around about 1,000 feet. We should be about 1,000 feet as we cross over EMA. So we're on V-lock, we have that, we've tuned in our radios, we're on our approach here. It says we're above the glide slope. Okay, so now we've got ourselves at the right height here. So we're just going to cross EMA. We're aligned with the glide slope after a bit of little bit being a bit tedious there. Some mistakes, but anyway, we're going all right. We got back on track. The main thing is to be the right height to capture the glide slope. Approach is on. We are descending now on the glide slope. V-lock's on, we're looking good. Mixture's full rich. So this is really a first time using the GPS, at least that I can remember. It's been some time that I originally did my first pass through here, and I forgot to press the approach button. So I had to loop back around, understand what I was doing wrong. We've got all our landing lights and everything on. Whoops. I believe this runway is 17 feet MSL, so I did set my altimeter as well. I checked that that was correct. So these scroll wheels that they have just cause problems. I keep accidentally clicking them. So the main thing to know was get the right altitude coming in. Hit the V-lock to make sure you're getting the ILS approach, and make sure you do hit the approach button on the autopilot. It's not a whole lot different to an airliner, but it just seems a little bit more challenging when you're not used to it. Full flaps. Ready to turn the autopilot off. Bring the nose down gently, and we're down on the ground. Finally. Is there a bit of looping around? Flaps up. So we'll make our way to the, oops, we could probably just turn here. Landing lights off. Oh, we've got taxi there. What do we got down here again? Strobes, we'll turn them off. Turn our landing lights off. Quite a nice airport here. So we're clear of the runway. Get to our gate. Nice airport. Again, you'll find the link to these airports in the description. Where should we go? I think we'll go down here. We'll see what this here looks like out here. Great airport. Some fuel trucks. I think we'll just park it over here. I'm just going to park it right here. Handbrake on. Mixture off. Switches all off. Ignition off. Battery off. And there you have it. The Alabeo C207. Cessna, which is very nice. I actually like this plane mostly. It does have a few little things that could be improved, but I think it's definitely a nice plane to fly. I really like it. I think they've done a great job. Let me know what you think in the comments. Always appreciate you watching. I'm going to wrap this one up, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.